My friend, let me tell you the truth about the mask of deception. A narcissist does not step into your life showing you the emptiness inside. No, they come dressed in charm, polished with sweet words, and wrapped in promises that seem too good to be true. They can walk into a room and make people feel as though the sun itself has risen in their presence. Their words flatter, their eyes persuade, and their smile disarms. But behind it all, there is no light, only a hollow darkness that craves to be filled by the admiration and submission of others. They wear this mask like a costume, carefully crafted to win trust, to draw people in, to make you believe that they are the answer to your loneliness, your longing, or your hope. And while you are caught in the glow of their false light, they are feeding on your attention, your energy, your faith in them. That mask is their weapon, and their deception is their survival. They cannot live without it because if the mask were ever pulled away, what you would see is emptiness, an echoing void that can never be satisfied. You see, the danger is not always in what they do openly, but in what they hide behind the curtain of charm. They are actors on a stage, rehearsed in the art of pretending. They know what words will soften your heart. They know when to play the role of the victim, when to play the role of the hero, and when to play the role of the saint. And people fall, time and time again, not because they are weak, but because they are human. We want to believe in goodness, we want to trust, we want to hope. But the narcissist twists that hope into a snare, and before long, the one who trusted most deeply finds themselves questioning everything they once believed. It is no small thing to be deceived by such a mask. It can shake a person to their core. Families have been broken by it. Friendships have been destroyed by it. Churches, communities, and even nations have been shaken because a narcissist learned how to play the role so well that people gave them the keys to their hearts, never realizing that the heart of the deceiver was empty all along. But deception cannot last forever. A mask grows heavy. A false light begins to flicker, and sooner or later, cracks appear in the costume they wear. The words no longer sound as sincere. The promises no longer hold their shine. And when that mask begins to slip, those who once admired start to awaken to the truth. Yet, many are so entangled by that time that they struggle to break free, because the manipulator has already woven their web, already drawn them deep into a cycle of hope and despair, of praise and punishment. I want you to understand that this mask is not just a harmless disguise. It is a tool of control. It is designed to blind you to reality, to keep you from seeing the truth, to keep you from standing in the light of what is real. That's why discernment is so vital. We cannot look only at the surface. We cannot measure a person only by their charm or by the words that tickle our ears. We must look deeper, beyond the mask, to see what spirit truly drives them. And when you see the mask for what it is, you must not fear, for truth is always stronger than deception. Light is always brighter than darkness, and though the mask of deception may seem powerful for a season, it cannot stand against the one who walks in truth. So I tell you today, do not be blinded by the costume. Do not be fooled by the flattery. Look deeper, and you will see the emptiness behind the mask. And once you see it, you will never bow to it again. There is something inside the heart of a narcissist that is never content. No matter how much attention they receive, no matter how much honor is given to them, no matter how many people bow to their will, it is never enough. They are like a thirsty traveler drinking from a well that runs dry, always taking, never satisfied. They hunger for power, power over hearts, power over minds, power over souls. And wherever they go, that craving leaves destruction behind. You may have seen it in a home where one voice dominates every conversation, where one person's desires outweigh the needs of everyone else. You may have witnessed it in a workplace where a single individual manipulates and controls, crushing the spirits of those around them. You may have even seen it in a church or a nation where a leader, intoxicated by their own pride, demands not service to others but service to self. This hunger for power is not a passing weakness. It is a consuming fire. And when it burns unchecked, it devours everything in its path. The narcissist does not simply want respect, they demand it. They do not simply want to be heard, they demand to be obeyed. And when obedience does not come willingly, they will use guilt, shame, fear, or charm, whatever tool is at hand, to bend others to their will. They live as if the world exists to orbit around them, as if every life they touch is merely a stage for their own performance. And when people resist, when they refuse to play the part assigned to them, the narcissist often strikes with anger, with manipulation, with punishment, because the one thing they cannot bear is the loss of control. But power built on control is fragile. It must always be defended, always protected, always reinforced with more lies, more manipulation, more domination. And the cost of that hunger is great. Families crumble under the weight of it. Children grow up wounded, spouses live in silence, friends disappear, communities fracture, because the appetite of one soul cannot be satisfied by the giving of many. And yet the narcissist keeps reaching, keeps grasping, keeps devouring, because inside they are empty, and emptiness knows no end. We must understand that this is more than personality. This is more than difficult behavior. This is a battle for the soul. The craving for power is not just about pride. It is about ownership. It is about claiming what does not belong to them. They seek not only your attention, but your allegiance. They want to shape your thoughts, to control your choices, to dictate your future. And if you are not careful, you find yourself living not for truth, not for freedom, but for the approval of someone who cannot even approve of themselves. But here is the danger. They often succeed because we underestimate them. We say, it's just the way they are. They're controlling, but that's their nature. And while we excuse, they tighten their grip. While we explain away their hunger, they take more ground, more influence, more lives caught in their web. And before long, what was once a whisper of control becomes a storm of domination that tears through every relationship in its path. Yet I tell you this, no man, no woman, no leader, no power. Hungry soul can stand forever when their foundation is built on control and manipulation. For a time, it may seem they rise. For a season, it may look as if they prosper. But the hunger for power is a pit with no bottom. It is a thirst that no applause, no submission, no kingdom can satisfy. And in the end, the very thing they chase is the very thing that destroys them. That is why discernment is so vital. Do not give your heart lightly. Do not surrender your soul to the approval of one who seeks only to control. Guard your mind, guard your spirit, guard your freedom. Because once a narcissist tastes control, they will never let it go willingly. And if you give them the power, they will use it, not to build you up, but to consume what you are. So I say to you today, recognize the hunger for power for what it is. Do not be fooled by the charm. Do not be weakened by the threats. Do not be silenced by the fear. Stand firm in truth, because truth cannot be controlled. And when you stand in truth, their power loses its grip. When truth dies in a person's heart, something far more dangerous takes its place. A narcissist cannot live in the presence of truth, because truth exposes them. Truth reveals the mask. Truth uncovers the hunger for power. And so, when truth is no longer welcome, they push it away, they bury it, they silence it. In its place, lies rise up and become their language. Deception becomes the air they breathe. Manipulation becomes the weapon they wield to control and to destroy. You see, truth has a way of bringing freedom. Truth brings light into darkness. It brings healing to brokenness. It brings order where there is chaos. But the narcissist cannot stand that light because it threatens the image they've built, the illusion they've created, the mask they hide behind. So they trade truth for lies, and those lies become the very fabric of their existence. It begins slowly, a half-truth here, a twisted story there, a small deception to cover their tracks. But over time, lies no longer serve as a shield. They become the very core of their identity. They lie so often that even they begin to believe the stories they tell. They rewrite history to protect their pride. They reshape reality to fit their desires. And in the end, There is no room left for truth, because truth has been banished from their lives. What does that mean for those around them? It means you can no longer trust their words. You can no longer lean on their promises. Every conversation becomes a battlefield, every word a weapon, every silence a trap. You are left questioning yourself, doubting what you know, wondering if the problem is you, when all along it is the death of truth that has poisoned the relationship. This is why manipulation becomes so powerful in their hands. Lies alone can only go so far, but when lies are woven with guilt, with fear, with charm, they become chains. Chains around the mind, chains around the heart, chains around the soul. The narcissist knows exactly which words to say to keep you doubting yourself, to keep you second, guessing, to keep you under their control. That is why so many intelligent, strong, good-hearted people find themselves trapped. It is not weakness. It is the steady erosion of truth by the force of lies and manipulation. And friends, when truth dies, love cannot survive. Real love is built on honesty, on trust, on integrity. But when lies rule the relationship, love suffocates. Respect is lost, hope is crushed, families collapse, communities fracture, nations even fall when truth is cast aside and lies are exalted. For where truth is not welcome, deception reigns, and where deception reigns, destruction always follows. The saddest part is that the narcissist often convinces themselves they are the victim. They paint themselves as the misunderstood, the mistreated, the one who has been wronged by everyone else. They build their castle of lies so tall that they cannot even see the ground of reality anymore. And while they stand high in their illusion, those around them sink into despair, confusion, and brokenness. But I want you to hear this clearly. Truth is not dead forever. It may be rejected, it may be silenced, it may be mocked, but truth never loses its power. Truth stands when lies collapse. Truth shines when darkness deepens. And if you cling to truth, if you hold it close, it will protect you from the manipulation of those who live in deception. That is why discernment is not an option. It is a necessity. You cannot take every word at face value. You cannot let charm blind your eyes. You must test, you must weigh. You must search for the light of truth, because it is the only shield against the death of truth in someone else's life. So I say to you today, guard your heart, guard your mind, guard your soul. Do not surrender them to the lies of those who have rejected truth. Stand firm, speak truth, and live in truth, because only the truth can set you free. The wounds left by a narcissist are not always seen with the eyes, but they are carried deep within the soul. Wherever they walk, broken families are left behind. Shattered trust lies scattered across the ground, and scarred hearts beat with pain that often lasts for years. They step into homes, into friendships, into relationships, and what begins with charm and promises often ends with silence, confusion, and heartbreak. You see, the damage they cause is not like a sudden storm that passes quickly. It is more like a slow erosion, wearing down love, wearing down joy, wearing down hope until there is almost nothing left. A spouse who once believed in the beauty of marriage now lives in fear, walking on eggshells, never knowing when the next outburst or manipulation will come. Children who should have grown up secure and safe instead learn to doubt themselves, to question their worth, because the one who should have nurtured them chose control and selfishness instead. Friends who once laughed and trusted freely now pull back, their hearts cautious, their faith in others weakened because they were betrayed by someone they thought they could rely on. This is the legacy of a narcissist. Destruction that is not always visible to outsiders, but is felt in the deepest places of the human heart. It is the brokenness of promises that were never meant to be kept. It is the pain of being made to feel small, insignificant, or unworthy. It is the scar of betrayal, the sting of abandonment, the silence of love that was never real. And those scars do not simply fade when the narcissist moves on. They linger. They shape the way people see themselves, the way they see others, even the way they see God. Trust is one of the greatest casualties. Once it is broken, it is not easily rebuilt. The victim of a narcissist often struggles to trust again, not only in relationships, but in life itself. They wonder, can anyone be genuine? Can anyone be safe? Can anyone truly love me without strings attached? That doubt digs deep, and it keeps many living in fear long after the narcissist has gone. And then there are the scars of the heart, words spoken in cruelty echo for years. Manipulation that once twisted a person's sense of reality leaves them questioning their own judgment, even when they are free. Some carry shame that was never theirs to carry. Others leave with anger, unable to let go of the injustice. Still others leave with numbness, afraid to feel, afraid to hope, afraid to love again. My friend, these are not small wounds. These are deep, soul-level injuries. And yet, the narcissist rarely looks back. They rarely consider the damage left in their path, because their eyes are fixed only on themselves. They move from one place to another, one relationship to another, one community to another, leaving brokenness behind them like a trail of ashes. But let me tell you, scars do not have to define the rest of your story. The wounds they leave are real, but they are not the end. Healing is possible. Restoration is possible. Freedom is possible. And it begins when you stop carrying the blame that was never yours. It begins when you recognize that their deception, their hunger for power, their rejection of truth was not a reflection of your worth, but a reflection of their emptiness. It begins when you open your heart again, not to them, but to the light of truth, to the power of love, to the healing that only God can give. The narcissist leaves scars, yes, but scars are proof of survival. Scars are evidence that you endured, that you lived through the pain, that you are still standing. And those scars, when placed in the hands of God, can become testimonies of strength, reminders that you are not defined by what was done to you, but by who you are becoming in spite of it. So I say to you, do not let the wounds they left keep you bound forever. Do not let the scars silence your voice or steal your hope. What they meant for harm can be turned for good. And even in the wake of broken families, shattered trust, and scarred hearts, there is still a greater power, a greater love, a greater truth that can make you whole again. There are some who would say that narcissism is only a matter of the mind, only a matter of psychology, only a matter of broken patterns of behavior. But I want you to see something deeper, something that runs beneath the surface. This is not just psychology. It is a spiritual battle. It is a war between light and darkness, between truth and lies, between freedom and bondage. It is a battle that does not simply affect the way people think, but the way they live, the way they love, and the way they see themselves before God. When a narcissist rejects truth, when they hunger for control, when they use manipulation as their weapon, what you are witnessing is not only a personality trait, but a spiritual struggle. Darkness has crept in where light should be. Bondage has taken root where freedom was meant to grow. They may not see it, and those around them may not always recognize it, but beneath the charm, beneath the mask, beneath the outward image, there is a battle raging in the unseen. That is why so many people who have lived under the influence of a narcissist describe the experience as suffocating, confusing, even tormenting. It feels like chains you cannot break, a shadow you cannot outrun, a fog you cannot clear. That is not just human behavior. That is spiritual oppression. It is the weight of deception pressing down, the grip of control tightening, the voice of lies whispering until even your own thoughts feel captive. And friends, that is why human strength alone cannot overcome it. You cannot argue your way out of it. You cannot reason with darkness. You cannot convince manipulation to set you free. There must be something greater, something stronger, something higher than the chains that hold you. That something is the power of truth, the light of God, the freedom that comes when you refuse to bow to lies and you stand firm in what is eternal. We often underestimate the reality of this battle because it does not always look like a fight. It can look like a smile, a kind word, a gentle voice, and yet behind it is the spirit of control, the spirit of deception. It can look harmless, even comforting at first. But when you draw closer, you realize it is pulling you into a web where your will is weakened, your voice is silenced, and your identity is stripped away piece by piece. That is not psychology alone. That is the strategy of darkness. The good news is that light is always stronger than darkness. Darkness has no power when light shines. Lies have no power when truth is spoken. Bondage has no power when freedom is claimed. But you must choose which side of the battle you will stand on. If you compromise with lies, they will consume you. If you bow to manipulation, it will enslave you. But if you anchor yourself in truth, no power of deception can hold you. This battle is not fought with fists, nor is it won with anger. It is fought by standing firm in truth, by refusing to surrender your soul to the control of another, by lifting your eyes above the deception and fixing them on the one who cannot lie, the one who cannot fail, the one who is always faithful. And let me tell you, when you stand in that truth, you are no longer a victim of the narcissist's game. You are no longer bound by the chains of their manipulation. You are no longer tossed about by their charm or their threats. You become anchored, unshakable, free, and that freedom is not just a feeling. It is a spiritual victory. So do not take this lightly. Do not think of it as mere personality or difficult behavior. Recognize it for what it is, a spiritual battle. And if it is a battle between light and darkness, then choose the light. For when you walk in the light, the darkness cannot overcome you. So many who have lived under the shadow of a narcissist feel powerless. They believe there is nothing they can do, no way to escape, no strength left within them to rise again. But let me tell you, you are not powerless. You are not helpless. You are not doomed to remain under the weight of lies and manipulation. There is a call to discernment, and when you answer that call with truth, with courage, and with responsibility, you can break free from their shadow. Discernment is the ability to see beyond the surface, to recognize the mask for what it is, to separate the truth from the lies. It is the wisdom to say, "This may sound right, but something is wrong." It is the strength to stand when everything in you wants to give in. And discernment is not reserved for the gifted few. It is a gift available to all who seek truth with open hearts and willing spirits. The narcissist thrives in confusion. They twist words, they blur lines, they spin stories until you doubt your own judgment. That is how they keep you bound. But when discernment rises in your heart, the fog begins to lift. You start to see the patterns. You start to recognize the tactics. You realize the flattery was manipulation, the promises were empty, the kindness was conditional. And once you see, you cannot unsee. That is the beginning of freedom, but discernment alone is not enough. It must be met with courage, because when you see the truth, you will be faced with choices. Do you stay silent or do you speak? Do you remain in the shadow or do you step into the light? Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act in spite of fear. And make no mistake, it takes courage to stand against someone who has used lies and control to keep you bound. It takes courage to walk away from the approval you once depended on. It takes courage to say no more, when you know the backlash may come. Yet, courage grows when you anchor yourself in truth. Lies lose their power the moment you refuse to believe them. Control weakens the moment you refuse to bow to it. And the fear that once held you captive begins to break when you take that first step into the light. Then comes responsibility. Freedom always demands responsibility. You cannot simply see the truth and walk away unchanged. You must take responsibility for your choices, for your healing, for your future. That does not mean you carry the blame for what was done to you. That weight does not belong to you. But it does mean you choose how you will respond. Will you allow the wounds to define you? Or will you allow the truth to refine you? Will you carry the scars as chains? Or will you wear them as proof that you survived and overcame? Responsibility means setting boundaries. It means refusing to let the narcissist's shadow follow you into every relationship, every friendship, every new beginning. It means learning to trust wisely, to give carefully, to love deeply without surrendering your freedom. It means walking forward with eyes wide open, heart guarded by truth, and soul anchored in light. And let me tell you, when you answer this call to discernment, you discover something you may not have believed for a long time. You are stronger than you knew. You are wiser than you realized. You are freer than you imagined. You no longer live under the shadow of deception, because you have stepped into the light of truth. So hear this: you are not powerless. You are not a victim destined to remain in chains. By standing in truth, by walking in courage, by embracing responsibility, you can break free from their shadow and live in the freedom you were always meant to have. Friend, if these words opened your eyes to the mask of deception, the hunger for power, the death of truth, the wounds they leave, the spiritual battle, and the call to discernment, don't let the message end here. Stay with us as we keep shining light into the shadows and speaking truth where lies have ruled. If you found strength today, share this message so someone else can find freedom too. And if you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss what's coming next. Until we meet again, stand strong in truth and walk in the light.